That's right, I'm going to take the Super Tenere out. It is so warm today. I'm heading to Germantown to help out a friend, but before that I gotta fill up this hog. Today at 61 degrees, it's gonna melt all the ice from the road, and that is good news. That is good news bears for everybody. Oh my god, what is up with this car? Oh my god, this is a Toyota Camry pickup truck. Let me see this thing. Look at this thing. Whoa, that's a Toyota Camry that's been chopped off. It's like a pickup truck Camry. That is brilliant. I think so interesting. That is a brilliant idea. Somebody really took the time to work on this car. That is kind of incredible. Look at that thing. That is amazing. FDANC. That's really amazing. Oh man, freaking Civic. Look at that thing. West Virginia. That is amazing. That's awesome. I've never seen that. That's the snow really has been melting. We're almost there, and it's just incredible how comfortable this bike is. You know, you can put thousands of miles on these and it just doesn't feel like you put anything. God damn these idiots. Go straight, idiots. You'll figure it out, okay? This is like, it might seem rude to do that, but it's like, man, you just cannot hold everybody up while you figure out where you're going to be going. I've seen this a lot. There's people from the right lane all of a sudden want to make a left. Yeah, it's not just all about you when you're riding in traffic. And actually I can kind of see that more in a motorcycle. I see motorcyclists doing this exact same thing, holding traffic up so their friends could pass through intersections. Honestly, if you're in a group that big, you really have to be careful. You really have to like realize that not everybody enjoys you riding a motorcycle as much as you do. I just had to find a place to pee. Look at that bike, it looks really cool. Yeah, the looks are definitely way cooler than the V-Strom I had. This is the Toyota Camry that my friend here, Sinet, is acquiring, and there's nothing wrong with it. Let's see. The tires are still good. This Camry has got 364. That is incredible. This car has got 364,000 miles. Unfortunately, this Toyota Camry, even given, is not a good idea. It's incredible actually. It's got 364,000 miles, but the problem is that it's the wrong title and everything. Even if you could register it, you would not be able to. So not exactly a great deal for anybody. It is 70 degrees out. Hey, look at that Honda Accord. Woo! 90 to 91 Honda Accord right there. That's a 30-year-old car. You know, one time I tried to buy a house in Germantown. You know, all of these places are townhouses. Look at motorcycle. He's got his license plate sideways. Oh, it's like a custom bike. Fancy. This is kind of a cute little park. I think it's a man-made lake here, but geez, 35 miles an hour here. Oh, there's a volleyball court. Oh my goodness, another motorcycle coming the opposite way. That is so crazy. It's really good just for gentle riding. Not so much city riding. You know, it's like this bike would tire me out. Riding every day to the city, kind of like what I do with a scooter. The scooter is by far better for commutes, like short commutes into the city. But one of the big things is the ability to park on the sidewalk. I could not park this behemoth on the sidewalk. You know, that's why I really like scooters. You know, if the Smithsonian was open, I would just cruise onto the National Mall, park in a bike rack, and then hop over to a museum. I didn't think that I would fit into this bike so well, but I do fit into this bike a little bit better than I fit into my V-Strom. You know, on the V-Strom I would look, as I passed like shops with glass, I would look, and I look really dorky. I think it's the way you sit on the V-Strom that's really kind of lame, and I don't like it. It's it puts your legs at a 90-degree angle, and I think that's what a lot of adventure bikes are. But I like that my legs are angled backwards a little bit. It makes it a little bit sportier, and I enjoy that a little bit more. Now this bike though, it feels so comfortable for riding. Like, the wind protection on it is really amazing. It's not as good as, say, like a maxi scooter, because the maxi scooter protects like your legs, but man, I don't think I've ever had a motorcycle that protects your knees from wind as much as this one. Like, this is just completely sheltered. Like, my knee is almost all the way in, and like if I move my hand, right, if I'm moving, that's where the wind hits, right over here, like a little bit of buffeting. It goes right over my head, and then on the side that hits a little bit, and then on the side here, this is very well protected. And look at this, that's, the wind is out here, so it's as if like you are cutting through the entire wind, and it's sheltering you really well. And you know, that's also one of the things that makes this bike much more comfortable to ride than a lot of bikes, is that wind protection. When you have a lot of wind protection, I could ride this bike for hundreds of miles per day, and that's not going to be a big issue. Like, when it comes to ergonomics, I think BMW does do a good job with their ergonomics. You know, there's like a really nice quality to it. But this tenere, it's got like an odd thing, is that the handlebars on this are so wide that I almost feel that I'm going to be hitting mailboxes as I go around cornering. And it's not a bad thing, because if you do intend on riding off-road, you want this sort of like leverage. And having wide handlebars makes it easier in slow speed kind of maneuvers to kind of move around. That's why moving this bike in a garage is just so much easier than an FJR 1300 or ST 1300. I don't know, like, if the weight is down lower on this, but it feels like it. It feels like the engine on this is like heavier at the bottom than at the top. And of course it does have the fans on the side, so I don't know if that's a contributing factor to the feeling of it. A lot of times the feeling of low weight is good to have, and it's so well mannered. It is just so balanced, I think this bike got a really bad shake from all of these reviewers online, because on paper this bike doesn't do very well. It doesn't, like, you know, the horsepower is like 100, and comparable bikes, even the BMW, have higher horsepower figures. But in a way, that is brilliant of Yamaha, because if you lower the weight, the horsepower, and you make the bike rev, and by the way it makes power, this thing is more like a tractor, and it feels like the type of bike you can kind of lug around. It's the same thing with the GS, really. Like, you can lug it really low. You can lug this one really low. Like right now, if I'm going to put it on 6th gear, I still have plenty of power. Like, I'm at 2.3 thousand RPMs right now, and if I twist it, it still moves really well. So having like a little bit of a feeling, like a lower weight feeling, is important. That guy kind of swerved onto the yellow line. I wonder what that's his defect. But I like the way it feels. It feels very like low weight, even though I know it's a 600-pound bike. It's a 600-pound dirt bike. but I don't intend on like doing any serious off-roading. I think I like this bike for what it is, kind of like just I can ride it every single day. I don't have to worry about it breaking on me. I know it's reliable. I just kind of enjoy that. I enjoy that a bike is so durable that I don't have to do much to keep it, you know, running. And if anything does break, the parts are relatively cheap to get. Yeah, it's a really good bike, and the resale of it, as you guys know, you could get one of these for like $6,000. You know, a high mileage one, but I wouldn't shy away from a high mileage Super 10 or a Super 10. I'm gonna call it Super 10. It's just like the type of bike that feels like a Toyota Camry, maybe a faster Toyota Camry. You know, you can always like hop on that car, start it, and you know it's going to take you where you need to go. If you had like a BMW 3 or 4 series, or whatever those BMWs are, 5 series, anything breaks on that thing, you're going to be spending a lot of money to fix. And it's the same thing with the BMW motorcycles. I was watching The Wizard, the YouTube channel The Wizard. It's that guy, the Hoovy's Garage, the mechanic, and he was talking about BMWs, and he shares my sentiment. This Jeep he's on his phone. I can tell this guy is on his phone, swerving around a little bit too much. Wizard kind of shares my sentiments when it comes to BMWs, and a lot of people do, but I think there's an embarrassment that comes with BMWs when they realize that they spent a lot more money for an inferior product. And while the BMWs are working, yeah, they're great, but they're as great as any other car or bike. But once things start to break, the engineering from BMW is something that I don't appreciate at all. And all my life I've been told that they're great engineers. I just don't see it. I don't see how BMWs are great engineers. There's another motorcycle in front. They're all out today. And when you combine the wheels on this, 19 front, 17 rear, it makes it a really good bike. Even if you want to do some big dual sporting, you can do it. You can do the Trans-American Trail on this thing. That's how good this is. You know, I am not that good of a rider, so there's no way I'll be riding this thing off-road, just because, you know, this is probably one of my most expensive bikes I have, and I don't feel like dropping it. And I think a lot of Americans, they have so much money that they're willing to like bust their bikes up off-road. I'm not willing to do that. I mean, I will ride forest roads, some mild trails, but I'm not interested in doing any like heavy duty off-roading. It's not on this. Hey, another motorcycle up front. I am telling you, man, there's so many people out today. Everybody's enjoying the great outdoors. Yeah, man, this bike is just so easy to own. It's just it's one of these bikes that require very little from the owner. I think I've changed the oil on it, and that's pretty much it. I haven't done anything else. Like, this bike is just requires so little. I would like to take some bigger road trips on it, because you really get to know a bike by going on road trips. You know, that's the problem with a lot of these moto journalists when they get bikes, is like they barely ride it. They ride it for a day, and I can understand, like, oh yeah, they have experience with bikes, but they did give this bike an unfair shake, and I have to like really admire that. I have to say that I like that they gave it an unfair shake, because without them bashing this bike, I would not be able to afford it. I would not be able to buy this bike. This is an expensive bike. This is a $18,000 bike, brand new, probably $20,000 nowadays. But man, if they didn't bash this bike and making it come out last in all of these shootouts, I would not be able to afford it. So with that, thank you, moto journalists. I know that you guys are all biased and you don't really ride very much. motorcycles that you test, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate your commitment to quality and pandering to whoever sells the most advertising in your publications. With that, I bid you farewell. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.